There once was a man, sickly and in pain, spending most of his life in isolation. His body, ravaged by illness, betrayed him, but his mind remained sharp, relentless, refusing to submit. That man was Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche, often misunderstood, railed against weakness in ways that seemed harsh, even cruel. But how could a man who suffered from physical ailments his entire life develop such contempt for weakness? The truth is that Nietzsche wasn't simply railing against people who were weak in body, he was attacking something much deeper. Nietzsche's real battle was against a mindset, a worldview, a surrender of human potential. His philosophy was created not out of cruelty, but out of a passionate belief in human strength, greatness, and the will to overcome adversity. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power lies in his disdain for weakness. For Nietzsche, life was a constant struggle for power, not in the sense of dominance over others, but power over oneself. He believed that the essence of life was the drive to grow, to create, and to overcome limitations. Weakness, to Nietzsche, was the refusal to engage in this struggle. It was a surrender to mediocrity, which to him was an abandonment of one's potential. Think about the last time you faced something hard. There were two options in front of you: push through and confront the difficulty head-on, or avoid it, telling yourself it wasn't worth the effort. Nietzsche believed that every time we choose avoidance, every time we step back from a challenge, we betray our own potential. We become weaker, not just in that moment, but in our very being. He saw this tendency to avoid struggle as a form of self-deception, an excuse to remain comfortable. But to Nietzsche, comfort was the enemy. Comfort breeds complacency, and complacency stifles growth. In his eyes, a life spent avoiding difficulty was no life at all. It was mere existence, and for Nietzsche that was the ultimate form of weakness. One of Nietzsche's most provocative ideas was his critique of modern morality. He believed that what we often consider good, things like kindness, humility, self-sacrifice, was actually a system designed by the weak to protect themselves from the strong. He referred to this as the morality of the herd. Nietzsche saw the herd as a collective of people who feared standing out, feared greatness, and feared the effort it took to rise above. In the herd's morality, being strong, ambitious, or assertive was seen as immoral. Weakness, in contrast, was celebrated as a virtue. Why? Because when everyone is weak, no one feels threatened. In this system, mediocrity is safe. Nietzsche's contempt for the herd wasn't born out of a lack of empathy. It was born out of frustration. He saw the herd mentality as a trap, one that kept humanity from achieving greatness. When we value weakness over strength, when we celebrate submission instead of ambition, we limit the potential of the individual, and by extension, the potential of society as a whole. Nietzsche broke down morality into two types: slave morality and master morality. Slave morality, as the name suggests, was the morality of those who were oppressed, those who felt powerless in the world. This morality, according to Nietzsche, valued qualities like humility, compassion, and forgiveness, qualities that helped the weak survive in a world dominated by the strong. Master morality, on the other hand, was the morality of the powerful, those who embraced their strength and sought to assert their will on the world. This morality valued qualities like courage, ambition, and pride. It wasn't concerned with what was fair or just in the eyes of the herd. It was about personal excellence, about becoming the best version of oneself. Nietzsche didn't believe that one morality was inherently better than the other, but he did believe that slave morality had come to dominate the modern world, to the detriment of human potential. In a world where everyone is encouraged to be humble and submissive, where ambition is viewed with suspicion, how can anyone achieve greatness? How can anyone rise above mediocrity? Another one of Nietzsche's critiques of weakness was his concept of resentment, a kind of deep-seated resentment that the weak feel toward the strong. Nietzsche believed that weak people often mask their jealousy and bitterness toward the strong by moralizing their own condition. Instead of admitting their envy, they create a system where their weakness is framed as moral superiority. Think of the way people sometimes speak about wealth or success. You hear phrases like, money doesn't buy happiness, or the rich are greedy. Nietzsche would argue that these statements are born not out of a genuine critique of wealth, but out of resentment. It's easier to label the strong as immoral than to confront one's own lack of ambition. Nietzsche saw this resentment as corrosive, not just to the individual but to society. When weakness is moralized, it becomes something to aspire to. Instead of encouraging people to strive for greatness, society encourages them to embrace their limitations, to accept mediocrity. This, to Nietzsche, was the ultimate betrayal of human potential. It's important to remember that Nietzsche wasn't speaking from a place of detached privilege. He knew suffering intimately. His own life was marked by illness, loneliness, and rejection. He was plagued by migraines, gastrointestinal issues, and deteriorating eyesight. By the end of his life, he was almost entirely blind and bedridden. But Nietzsche never saw his suffering as an excuse for weakness. In fact, he believed that suffering was essential. His famous quote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," isn't just a catchy phrase. It's an important tenet of his philosophy. Nietzsche believed that it is through struggle and hardship that we find our true strength. This isn't to say that Nietzsche glorified suffering for its own sake. Rather, he saw it as a necessary part of life. To live is to struggle, and to struggle is to grow. When we shy away from difficulty, when we avoid pain, we also avoid the opportunity to become stronger. In Nietzsche's eyes, the weak are those who refuse to engage with the challenges of life, and those who seek comfort over growth. Nietzsche's critique of weakness ultimately leads to his concept of the Übermensch or overman. The Übermensch is the individual who transcends the limitations of ordinary human existence, who overcomes not just external challenges, but internal ones as well. This individual doesn't seek validation from the herd or follow the morality of the weak. Instead, they create their own values, their own path in life. The Übermensch represents a person who embraces their strength, who confronts life's challenges head-on, and who refuses to be held back by the morality of the herd. This isn't just about physical strength, it's about mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. It's about the courage to live authentically, to pursue greatness, even in the face of adversity. Given his harsh critique of weakness, it's easy to see why some people view Nietzsche as cruel or unfeeling, but this is a misunderstanding of his philosophy. Nietzsche wasn't advocating for the strong to dominate the weak. He wasn't saying that we should abandon compassion or kindness. Rather, he was encouraging individuals to embrace their own strength, to reject the limitations imposed by a society that celebrates mediocrity. Nietzsche's disdain for weakness wasn't born out of cruelty, it was born out of frustration. He saw so much untapped potential in humanity, so much greatness waiting to be realized, but held back by the chains of comfort, complacency, and fear. His philosophy was a call to arms and a challenge to break free from those chains and become something greater. We live in a society that often values comfort over challenge, that encourages us to avoid difficulty rather than embrace it. We're told that it's okay to be mediocre, that we don't need to push ourselves too hard, that it's fine to settle for less. But Nietzsche reminds us that there's a cost to this mindset. When we shy away from difficulty and we choose comfort over growth, we become weaker, not just individually, but collectively. We limit our potential, and in doing so, we limit the potential of humanity as a whole. Nietzsche's philosophy is a challenge to each of us. It's a call to embrace struggle, to reject the easy path and to strive for something greater. It's a reminder that weakness isn't just a physical condition, it's a mindset and a choice. It's a choice we make every day in every decision and in every challenge we face. So the next time, ask yourself, what would Nietzsche do? Would he shy away from this challenge? Or would he confront it head-on? The choice, as always, is yours. We all have moments of weakness, moments when we feel like giving up, when the struggle feels too hard. But Nietzsche reminds us that it's in these moments that we have the best chance to become something greater, something stronger. So embrace the struggle, reject the comfort of mediocrity, and strive for greatness, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it.